This is the all-new 2024 Toyota Tacoma TRD PRO. It's got crazy seats, a powerful hybrid powertrain, and stunning good looks. But is it better than the Ford Ranger Raptor? We're going to check out all the features and then put it to the test. Right now on Driving Sports TV. With this all-new 2024 Tacoma TRD PRO, Toyota has really shot for the moon. Everything, and I mean everything, is upgraded over the outgoing model. It has new tech, better seats, more power, an improved transmission, and smoother off-road systems. But has Toyota gone too far this time? Have they made a mid-size truck that is simply too expensive? We'll talk about that a little bit later. And we'll also compare it to its primary rival, the 2024 Ford Ranger Raptor. Under the hood is Toyota's iForce Max hybrid powertrain. This combines a 2.4-liter four-cylinder turbocharged engine with a 48 horsepower electric motor integrated into the 8-speed transmission for a total system output of 326 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. You also get a TRD performance air intake and exhaust system, which sound great together. The four-wheel drive system is part-time with an electronically controlled transfer case. The TRD PRO includes an ARB steel rear bumper with recovery points, a rear locker, a sway bar disconnect, underbody protection, and the newest version of Toyota's multi-terrain select and crawl control systems. Wheels are 18-inch alloys wrapped in 33-inch Goodyear Territory rugged terrain tires. Total ground clearance, 11.5 inches. Up front, you get Toyota's crazy new isodynamic performance seats. In addition to being both heated and cooled, they also have an air-over-oil shock system built into the seat. This stabilizes the driver on rugged trails. Add more air to adjust the feel. You can even dial it in for street or trail with these little knobs below. But do they really do anything? We'll find out in a little bit. The rest of the cabin carries over a design we first saw in the Tundra a couple years ago. You get a massive 14-inch display, a great digital gauge cluster, and easy-to-reach controls throughout. Prices you see it here with a few small options, $65,869 US, including destination. That is a lot of money, and in fact it's $8,000 more than the $57,000 I paid for this 2024 Ford Ranger Raptor just a couple months ago. This is actually the Ford Ranger Raptor we bought for the channel. And this comes standard with a twin turbocharged 6-cylinder making 405 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque. Further, it has both front and rear lockers, and it comes standard with these 17-inch alloy wheels wrapped in BFG K03 all-terrain tires. That is a lot of kit for the money. Both trucks have double cabs with 5-foot beds. The TRD PRO is a composite with an optional bed mat. The Raptor has an optional spray-in liner. The Tacoma has a 2400-watt in-bed AC power system. The Raptor only has a 400-watt system. Wheelbase of the Ranger, 128.7 inches. The Tacoma is longer at 131.9 inches. Ranger Raptor can tow up to 5,510 pounds. The Tacoma can tow up to 6,000 pounds. Normally, I don't love side steps, but this Ranger Raptor has some nice ones. They're tucked in high and they actually help protect the paint. The Tacoma TRD PRO gets proper rock rails, which is much better. The second row of the Raptor is usable for both people and cargo. The TRD PRO is not. These fancy isodynamic seats absolutely make the second row useless. Also, because the hybrid batteries are stored under the seat, it doesn't fold up for additional storage. So in short, this is probably one of the most useless second rows in the class. I have to admit, the seats are pretty amazing. They cradle me in a way that the Raptor could only dream of. These seats also have heating and ventilation. Unfortunately, the Raptor only gets heat. Both trucks, however, have really nicely sculpted steering wheels wrapped in leather, and they both feel great. For everyday driving, both trucks are very nicely equipped. They both have collision mitigation, blind spot warning, rear cross traffic alerts, surround view camera systems, lane centering with adaptive cruise control. Now, this Toyota also has a feature called Proactive Driver Assist, which the Ford doesn't have. It'll detect corners and distance between you and other vehicles, and it'll kind of proactively drive for you, both putting on the brake as well as steering. I have started to use PDA on these trucks to see what it's like. I think I need to get some more time with it before I definitely decide if that's something I want. On the street, handling is much better than the standard TRD off-road, and that's thanks to the Fox 2.5-inch internal bypass shocks. They're QS3s and they are 3-way adjustable. However, you do have to crawl under the truck to adjust them. There's little knobs on each shock. Right now we are set to the mid setting, which creates kind of a nice compromise ride. If you're not the type of person to constantly crawl under your truck, just keep them at the medium setting. You can, of course, go both firmer and softer if you want. Now, in terms of daily driving, I do think that one of the biggest wins for the Ranger Raptor is the fact that it has full-time 4-wheel drive. This truck only has part-time, which means you need to be in 2-wheel drive when you're on pavement, only going into 4-wheel drive when you're off the pavement. Which, you know, if you have spotty ice and stuff like that, maybe you don't want to be in 4-wheel drive all the time. I mean, there are conditions where I kind of wish that I could do an all-wheel drive setting or a full-time 4-wheel drive setting when in a truck like this. The new Tacoma Limited does offer a full-time system. The new Land Cruiser has a full-time system, but this truck has a part-time system. The Ranger Raptor also has Fox shocks, but these are adjustable electronically, which means I can either select my firmness on the steering wheel, or I can just pick a drive mode and it'll set them up accordingly. It's probably safe to say that the Toyota system is simpler, which might enable in-the-field shock swap-outs easier, but I think if you actually want to live with this thing day to day, it's a little nicer to have it in cabin. But how about power? How much nicer is this twin-turbo 6 versus the hybrid setup in the TRD Pro? Let's go into sport mode. Sport mode there, and I'm just going to floor it, and let's see what it does. 3, 2, 1, go. Woo-hoo-hoo! Man, that thing's fast. We're looking at about 6 seconds, 0 to 60. Really nice. I just love this setup. Now let's try that in the TRD Pro. I'm going to go ahead and put the drive mode into 4 high so that we have maximum grip here. And 3, 2, 1, punch it. Immediate push thanks to those electric motors, and 60 in 7.28 seconds. So yeah, the Raptor, significantly faster. Of course, you don't buy either of these trucks simply because they're good for getting groceries. These are desert runners, so let's put them to the test. So we're going to start with landslide here. This is our technical off-road course. It's not the hardest of courses. In fact, it's not that hard at all, but it will test out clearances and give us an opportunity to play with some of the toys, specifically the off-road modes that these trucks offer. So to set up the truck, I am just going to use the drive mode because that will tie everything together that I need. I'm going to go to rock crawl and let's see what the vehicle prompts me for. I'm going to shift into neutral. Now it's shifting into 4 low. I like how it walks me through all the steps. Sure, I know how to do it, but not everybody does. Now at this point, it's locked the rear diff automatically, which I don't, yeah, we'll go ahead and leave it locked, I guess, because that is the setup that it does. Now what this will do is it'll basically give me maximum crawl ratio because I'm in 4 low. It'll also make the throttle a little slower to respond, so I have more granular control over my crawl ratio. And this truck has a very good crawl ratio of about 1 to 68. Okay, and I got a front camera here. Excellent front camera, and then down we go. Using the tracks to keep on the rocks, listening for any dinging, because of course this only has 10.7 inches of ground clearance, whereas the Taco has 11.5 inches of ground clearance. Significantly more, but I find that this truck is actually pretty capable. Okay, listen for any dinging. I got nothing yet. scopes are, the parking sensors are going off. Let's go ahead and turn those off. So clearly we're really close on that front bumper. I'm just gonna crawl through here. That's doing good. I love this slow crawl ratio. It's very smooth. And basically I just lift off the gas and the torque from this 6, even at idle, is enough just to move me forward. Here's our first set of ditches that are going to be challenging. Now I'm not changing anything here so far. The rear locker has engaged automatically when I went into rock crawl mode. Now if I need to, I can engage the front locker, which is something the Taco does not have. Add a little throttle. Ooh, so smooth. Nice. On this next section, I'm actually going to disable the rear locker because I want you to see what the traction control system can do all by itself. So I've disabled the rear locker. I am still in rock crawl mode, but I am going to also enable trail control. And for that, I then use the cruise control speed set to adjust my speed. Let's see what we can do. At a minimum, we're doing 1 mile per hour. So with this setting on, it's going to use wheel braking instead of a locker. I'm just curious, how good is the wheel braking tech in this truck? Also, this is testing articulation. Can it reach down and grab? Come on, can you do it? Ho, ho, ho. Now there is no sway bar disconnect in this truck. The Tacoma has that, so maybe that'll work better for the Tacoma. See, it's working its way out. Now, obviously, I have front and rear lockers. I don't have to use just traction control, but it's always good to kind of see what is the state of the art from this manufacturer. Toyota, one thing they're very good at is traction control, and that's one reason they don't offer a front locker, is because they basically use traction control to emulate a front locker. This one has a real front locker, which is always better because it will physically lock those wheels together and get us through stuff like that. So if I used a locker there, we wouldn't have stopped at all. We would have just kept on going. Now we have a sandy ditch. For this section, I'm going to go ahead and turn off trail control, and let's just see what this can do with no lockers, no trail control. Will the traction systems kick in and get me through this? Now, the scenario where this might be something that you actually encounter is if you're driving down a road and there's a big hole and you didn't expect it and you just kind of want to drive through it. Can you get through it, or is it going to be a complication? Articulation is pretty good. Let's see if that wheel is up in the air. I don't think it should be. No, looks like it's all the way down. Hard to tell with that step board though. Now we're gonna crawl out. Rear wheel drops down, but it's keeping the vehicle very level. I'd say that's actually really good performance. No concerns here. And because my locker is off, I can still do a tight turn. Great, well now let's crawl out of the hole and move on to the next test. Okay, now to really test the off-road capability, we're gonna do a very steep climb. This is about a 30-degree climb out, and it is loose dirt and gravel. I really love these in the real world. They're kind of fun. So I'm already in off-road mode. I'm gonna turn on my rear locker, and I'm not gonna enable my front locker yet because I want to be able to see if I can get up with the same hardware capabilities that the Tacoma has. Rear locker, 4 low. Let's do it. So I'm just gonna approach it slowly. Now I could just gun it up, but that's not the point. We're testing the truck's off-road capabilities here, not if momentum can get us up things. Okay, that's having a bit of a problem, which is okay, because we got more tools, right? So I went back down. Hopefully my hitch doesn't drag. I think we're doing okay. So this time I'm gonna turn on my front locker too. Use all the tools. Let's do it. Yeah, I mean, so easy with a front locker. It's insane. Now let's do it in the Tacoma, but first I need to adjust the suspension. It's down here. We have 3 settings, 1, 2, and 3. 3 is the firmest, 1 is the softest. It is set most of the time at 2. We're gonna go softer right here. So let's go ahead and switch this into 4 low. A rock slide here is of course a challenging, slippery course with lots of rocks. Not that hard going downhill, but it is a challenge specifically for clearances. And this does have a longer wheelbase than the Raptor, so just because the Raptor was able to get through with no issues doesn't mean this is going to get through with no issues. So I'm in 4 low, I'm in drive. I'm not going to worry about locking that rear, but I am going to disconnect the stabby bar because it has a disconnectable stabilizer bar there, which is cool. That'll give me additional articulation on the front axles, and I want to turn on my front camera. Got the trail cam going. Let's do this. Now this should reach down pretty nicely on the front, and I have rock rails, so I'm not really too concerned with grinding things. But you know, you got to be careful. I don't own the truck. Let's not ruin it. Oh yeah, super easy. Now we're going to hear for a grind as our front wheels lift and we move away from that landslide bank. Will the tail drag at all? It's got that ARB bumper back there, so we should be good. Yeah, no problem. Over. Oh yeah. We got this. The crawl is very slow here. Like the crawl ratio, I put a little throttle on and we have that electric assist on the bottom end, which is actually really nice. So we're just gonna see if we can get ahead here. Okay. It's having a little bit of a challenge. Will it just kick in? Yeah, it just kicks in with that MTS system, which is the traction control system, gets us through. Right, so at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and switch into crawl control and let this truck drive through the course for me. Crawl basically enables automatic throttle and braking to keep the vehicle tracking true and to give it the best grip possible. It also combines in the multi-terrain select system, so I can customize which MTS I'm in, but right now I'm in the default, which is auto. So take my foot off the brake, off the gas, and the truck just gets me forward. Now I am steering, obviously. This isn't an autopilot system, but it does allow for much easier off-roading than what you would get if you needed, like let's just say you're a novice and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is a really good option for you. And it's really using that electric motor to push us forward very quietly and calmly. And this new crawl system also is super quiet. The old one made a ton of noise. A ton of noise. Now, yeah, you know it's working. There's a little grinding sound there, but like no big deal. The last version, it made it sound like your engine was gonna blow up. And I know a lot of people did not like that. Okay, so we got another MTS challenge right around the corner here once we get out. And I can add throttle or brake at any time, so we're gonna get throttle out here and set up for the next challenge. So for this setting, I'm actually going to use, let's turn off crawl control, and I'm going to go into MTS. So we have 3 settings. We have sand, mud, and rock. Then of course we also have auto, so I guess 4 settings. Sand will allow for additional wheel spin. Rock gives you the least amount of wheel spin, but all of them will detect a spinning wheel and then try to stop that wheel from spinning, and which then pushes power to the other side. It is a software version of a locker. And yes, this does have a rear locker, but it does not have a front locker. So let's see how good the front locker is on this. So let's pick sand, because that should give us the maximum amount of wheel spin, which isn't what I would probably actually select if I was doing this in the real world, but I just want to see what we're going to get as a result here. Of course, the Raptor has a front locker, so that is a hard lock right to left. So that's obviously a totally different situation. Make sure our ground clearance is good. Is our rear wheel lifted at all? Nope. It's reaching all the way down as it should. Great. And then we just drive on out. Ooh, is that last? Oh yeah, we're reaching all the way down. Nice. So I'm gonna do stabby bar off. I'm gonna do rear locker on. I'm gonna turn MTS to rock, because that was the same basic setting that we used for the Raptor. And let's send it up and see how well this system works. I do have to roll forward a couple feet for the rear diff to engage, but that front sway bar disconnected immediately. So up we go. How good is this wheel braking? Oh, whoa, climbed right up. Okay, So I think for most challenging trails, this truck will be just fine. However, most people buy this truck for its Baja driving capabilities. For this next stage, I'm actually going to turn the vehicle into 4 high. Let's go ahead and switch that. Now I do like that on the Raptor, you can just switch to Baja mode and it kind of takes care of everything. This one you do have to pick what you're doing. It's like choose your own adventure. Got to go into neutral. It doesn't tell me that though, so FYI, need to go into neutral. And then at this point, I can still pick an MTS, and let's do a sand MTS for 4 high. That should give me maximum wheel spin. And I'm also going to, I'm not going to lock the rear because I don't need to, and my sway bar is not disconnected because we have enough range. Now I've already dialed in the shocks to be the softest possible. I'm not going to change the seat yet. I'm actually going to go through twice. First, we're going to run through with the seat in street and feel what that feels like, and then I'm going to switch it to soft and feel, just to see if it's any different. Okay, you know, the power is a little deceptive because it's electric. It's not as loud and raucous as that 6-cylinder is. Because when you stomp it, yeah, you can get some speed here. And we got that big skid plate on the front. Yeah, the suspension actually does a pretty good job of chewing up those bumps. Not bad. Woohoo! You know, the response is really good. This truck actually feels great. Any rubbing? None, even though I have the rock rails. Woohoo! That was a little deeper than I thought. Yeah, and the tires are providing plenty of grip. Okay, so now we're gonna do that whole loop again, but this time I'm going to adjust the seats. Put them onto soft off-road setting. There's a dial, it's right there. Switch that dial, switch that dial. And for PSI, it says, it's kind of at the minimum right now, but it's not at air yet. Okay, so here we are back in. Ooh, wow, that seat actually already feels very different. Now, the neat thing about this truck is that they also provide the same adjustments for the passenger. So it's not just a driver adjustment. Let's do this. See how this feels. See if this helps out. Now, what it should do is allow the truck to kind of rotate around us. Woohoo! Man, it's not kicking out as much power as the Raptor when you mosh your throttle down. It's more conservative. But it does let you get sideways, definitely. Woohoo! It's a very different feel than the Raptor. Personally, I think I prefer the Raptor though. I'm finding it a little difficult to modulate the throttle as easily. But the suspension is nuts. And these seats are incredible. Like, huge difference going to the off-road mode. Absolutely. So full throttle, it's having trouble kicking that out, but it does get there, and then it kind of cuts power. Huh, what's going on there? Yeah, it's just not as playful as the Raptor is. Okay, so I've done it with MTS Sand. Let's try something different. I'm going to turn off MTS. I'm going to turn off traction control. I'm just holding down the traction control button here. I want to see if I can get some more predictable throttle. Like, is it cutting power on me? I'm just holding this down for several seconds in case there's multi-stage. So let's see what it does now. Throttle hit. It's still delaying that throttle. Too many nannies. Throttle in. Okay, it's a little better on the lower section now, so that's nice. Come on! It's unpredictable, man. It just is. Maybe I need more time with it. Not ideal. Okay, so TRD Pro, not perfect. The throttle issue, going into the corner, hitting the throttle, and it just wants to cut too much power. Now let's see how this Ranger Raptor deals with that same situation. Now I still have it in off-road mode, so I'm going to go ahead and switch this now to Baja mode. Just want to note, it does not lock the rear diff. You don't really need that locked for most cases in a Baja style run, but it is going to have the softest suspension, Baja style steering, and then also the loudest exhaust note possible. So I've done this exact course with this truck multiple times. Baja mode is great because not only does it set up traction and all that stuff for really fast fun runs, it also keeps that twin turbocharged 6 in optimal range. It'll keep the revs really high once you get into it. So let's see how this truck does. Let's send it. Woohoo! Now, of course, I get paddle shifters, which is cool. You can hear that blipping throttle. I don't want to go too fast. Rooster tails. Yep. And then we hit the rocks. Oh, yeah. Getting a little rutted there. Woohoo! The suspension does a great job. Now here, I'm going to throttle in. Going to pendulum sideways. Yeah, baby. This truck has no right to be this good. Holy moly. Now we're gonna hit the straight, hear those revs, keeping them high. Hit the straightaway, get the little ump. Yeah, there we go. Down the main line, up and over. Woohoo! This thing is awesome. Throttle it, and it's mostly because it's more predictable. I know what this truck's gonna do before I do it, and I can feel what's going on. The Tacoma was just, it was a little too vague, and it cut power way too aggressively. This truck is awesome. Woohoo! Little throttle there, yeah, baby. Up and out, no grinding, even though there are step boards, but I've got enough clearance there for that exit out. So how did it come to this? Mid-size trucks costing more than $55,000. Well, you gotta keep in mind, these aren't normal trucks. These are the apex predators in the class. They pack an insane amount of technology and performance that was unimaginable just a few years ago. I thought I would end this video with a clear indication as to which truck is better, but the fact is, they are both awesome. If you do find that you lean more towards rock crawling, the Ranger Raptor's front locker and shorter wheelbase make it more capable in those environments. However, if Baja running is more your style, both these trucks do it great. In fact, they're so close in terms of real-world performance, the higher price of the Tacoma is hard to justify. And that's really the issue. More than $65,000 is a hard sell with the Raptor coming in so much cheaper. Throw in the usable second row, and the Ford just looks like a more flexible vehicle. And because of that, I would say that the $65,000 asking price of the Taco makes it simply too expensive when there is a vehicle like this. That said, I will never refuse keys to a Tacoma TRD Pro. Which one would you buy? Post a comment below. Would you get the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro, or the new Ranger Raptor, or something totally different? For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. Thanks for watching.